Hello, 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 people. It's Monday at 6 o'clock. It is the Monday snack. I hope you're all doing really, really well. And having a good week so far. Because it's Monday, obviously. We've just started. So, what's happening? What's been going on? Crazy times we're living at the moment. Yeah, it's all a bit weird. But hopefully about 40 minutes of something to take our minds off of the craziness that's around us. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So today, I have a pretty amazing individual actually today. The most fabulous Oli Silk keyboard player, smooth jazz artist, the whole 9 yards, the whole kit and caboodle. We're going to jump in to our conversation, which was really, really cool. He was a very, very reserved, cool, too cool for school customer. I tried to sort of I tried to trip him up a few times with my usual silliness, but don't know if I succeeded actually. But there you go. But I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy this. So let's dive on in. This is Oli. So today, everyone, I have with me a very, very cool friend, Mr. Oli Silk, keyboard player, smooth jazz artist extraordinaire. Oli, how are you?
I'm good, Andrew, man. Thanks for having me, bro. Good to be here.
Wonderful. Right, so I've really been looking forward to doing this, yeah, because I'm hoping to find out loads about you that I didn't know. Because obviously we work together. We're either on a gig or you come around here doing some recordings for me and stuff. So we never get to chat. I never get to chat about your history, how it all started, what you know, all that kind of stuff. We met relatively recently through this whole smooth jazz circuit, right?
We did, yeah.
And you've been one of the great musicians that have been really generous in contributing to like my albums.
Love doing it, man.
We've had a crazy 2020, but for you, it's yielded some great news. You know, with your new album. You had a #1 Billboard single. So obviously that must have been a great, a really good thing to happen amidst the madness that we're living through right now.
Yeah, it was. I'd say it's, it was been a pretty tough year. That was probably the highlight of the year for me. That I could get something positive out of the record, out of the album, out of the single. And yeah, it was received really, really well. So I'm really happy about it.
Nice, cool. So, and obviously, you're quite prolific. So this is your 6th record, right?
It is. It's my 6th solo record.
Conveniently entitled 6 as well.
It is, yeah.
That helps.
I don't know if you can see it there. I've got it there.
Beautiful, yeah. Lovely. Good to see, good to see. Let me get some questions, right? It's kind of weird as you weren't on my radar. Normally, I might have sort of heard of people or sort of come across them before working with them, but you weren't on my radar at all until we started did a gig together, right?
I don't know what that says about my music, that it wasn't on your radar. I mean,
no, it's not like that. I mean, as a musician, obviously, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So give me a quick breakdown, right? Musical history, because did you study? Did you do? How did it all happen? Because you're a phenomenal keyboard player. So where did it all come from? How did that work?
Well, I started playing in my early teens.
Really?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Didn't start playing till I didn't start playing and getting lessons till I was 12 actually.
Man alive.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had a little tiny keyboard when I was a little kid, and I loved it and stuff, but like never actually blossomed into any formal training or anything like that until I was about 12, 91, and I started going to lessons locally with a teacher, and he was a great teacher, and he took me through from age 12 to 17. He was more it was cool actually. He was like more of an electronic keyboard teacher. What we also did with him was it culminated once or twice a year that we would actually do big charity shows like galas and stuff.
Right.
With keyboard players. We used to have like 6 keyboard players at the back in like a horseshoe shape.
Right.
We're only kids. I mean, we're like 13, 14 years old. And then the other side of his business with his wife was performance and dancing and stuff like that. So like the other half of it was like the kids dancing to what we were playing. So it's like a variety show essentially. Right. So for years, yeah, we would do that. So I was on stage from like age 12, doing that kind of thing, variety shows. So it's good, man, because I just remember like I felt like it was just a bit of a baptism of fire. So by the time I was like 17, I was really used to being on the stage.
Where did the gravitation towards the jazz side of things happen?
I think it happened just because my musical upbringing was based around that music in my house. So no other musicians in my family.
Yeah, same here. Yeah,
but music lovers, like deep music lovers in my family, particularly my brother. And so growing up with that music, whatever you said, the beginnings, the genesis of smooth jazz, whatever it was called, like the jazz funk days, so growing up listening to that molded what I really liked to hear when I got into my teens and I actually started making music in my teens. And I guess I could always improvise. This is the thing about me, like from before I got lessons. Yeah. The reason I got lessons is because someone listened to me playing a piano one time. My parents had a piano in a business that they were running. They had a grand piano in a bar, and a friend of my dad's heard me playing. This is how I remember it. I was only like 10 or 11 at the time. He heard me playing, and he was a classically trained pianist who wasn't a pianist anymore. He was a surveyor, but one of my dad's mates. And he said, "Oh, has your son has Oli been getting lessons?" And my parents were like, "Well, no." And he's like, "Well, how can he play that stuff?" I just could improvise. I could just play. I don't know why. I could play a pentatonic scale before I knew what a pentatonic scale was. I just played it. And like thinking back to it, it's really weird because I was just little and I had little fingers, and I used to just play an F minor pentatonic scale and just like a funky bluesy thing, scale thing, and I could just do it up and down and messing around. And so I think I was always naturally just going to gravitate towards being able to play improvised jazz based music, with whatever lilt I put on it and stuff. Even though I was sort of learning standard pop tunes and I was playing them a lot on stage and things like that, concurrently to that, I was already making basic cassette records using a keyboard and my Commodore Amiga computer and sequencer and stuff like that. So making kind of basic dance music and sort of pseudo acid jazzy sort of stuff already. So the genesis was there already,
What I love about the way you solo, the way you play, right, is on the one hand it's got this very cool playing by ear, melodic ideas going on all the time. It's always really accessible, really immediate as a listener. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But on the other hand, you're sticking to those changes like glue. I'll put a chart in front of you with changes. You're all over those changes. Like no one's, and I've always thought, man, Oli will always blow over something, managing to kind of do both things, this really immediate melodic thing, and at the same time, really inside the harmony. You're not just meandering around, you're all over the harmony.
Okay.
That's why I love what you do. That's why I really love what you do.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, man.
And that's, you know what? This is a good point for a clip, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play a clip just to demonstrate that vibe. Check this out. Right?
Okay.
Remember, I have MIDI, so it's all good.
Yeah.
There we go.
try and do one that's like a little bit more solid and slightly less, slightly less flouncy. I don't know.
No, do your thing.
Yeah?
Just keep blowing. It's good.
All right.
What I think was really funny about that was when Oli kind of messed up. I had to leave that in to make sure we know the man is mortal. Anyway, say hi to some folks, right? Stefan, Maxine, Jonathan was on as well, Mrs. S, and the smallest small, as always, are in the house. Cool. Right, so the next bit of our conversation, we were talking about Oli's work ethic, and obviously, like I kind of said in that clip before, he had real reasons to kind of celebrate this year because of that real success with his first single. That's a pretty big deal. So yeah, we kind of spoke about how he kind of goes about writing and how he goes about, all that kind of stuff. You'll get the idea. Here it comes. Right, so my next question, right? So, believe it or not, I'm always looking up to you, right, as a really productive musician. You're just productive, you get on with stuff, you get stuff done, yeah? I mean, a tally of 6 albums, right? Significant presence in the States as a smooth jazz artist, speaks volumes. You're writing, you're recording, you're mixing your own stuff. It's all a really significant undertaking, right? What does your work schedule look like? Because people like you have to be organised. I've asked other people this before, but you have to be organised, right?
Yeah.
And how prolific are you creatively? Because to write 6 albums, that takes a lot of work. So are you naturally prolific? Or is it like, are you sort of, man, head down, head to the grindstone, I'm going to get it done?
My work schedule is not quite as disciplined as you may think. It's fits and starts for me. Yeah. I mean, I class myself as a wearer of all hats. As you probably know, a bit of a jack of all trades. So, I've got my keyboard chops, I've got my production chops, my mixing chops, and my programming chops. And I kind of dip in and out of them depending on what's needed.
Right.
But it's like working out, really. Like if you work one part of your body out and you don't do the other part, then that starts to suffer. So
right.
If I spend a long time on one type of chops, I find it like you have to really focus to get back into. Like I haven't played a gig this year, for instance. Or I haven't played a gig since February.
Tell me about it. Yeah.
So I'm a bit worried about reading a chart again. I haven't read a chart for 10 months. Like,
yeah.
I definitely know I'm going to have to really shed to get back into that side of my, of my work experience.
Even you saying that you haven't played 10 months, right? Did you feel? Because I had a thing where it was just like lockdown happened, COVID-19 happens, and it's all very weird. Yeah. And I always feel that as creatives, maybe it's a bit, of a generalisation, but we don't tend to just write into the ether. We write with an end goal in sight. We write,
that's right,
be an album or a gig or a thing, something. There's something, there's a point to it. There's something at the end of this process. So COVID happens and you can't see the end of the process. And I didn't feel like playing for ages. Was it like that for you? Or was it just like a case of you had other stuff going on?
It was like that for me. In a creative sense, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, not only had I just finished an album, which usually means I'm going to have to take a little bit of time to not make certainly any smooth jazz or anything in that ilk, because I'm kind of done. I've just, I mixed it and I'm toast. I'm not in the mood for making more songs. So yeah, creatively this year has been really difficult, and it's annoying because I know I'm going to look back on this year and say to myself, why didn't I make another record straight after the last one? Because I had all the time in the world.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's that simple. And I was walking the dog the other day, thinking through this idea that other people always think, well, just start working, man. You got all this time. Like, just make an album. What are you waiting for? And it's like, actually, I want to make I want to make music when I'm at my busiest doing other stuff like touring, for instance.
Right,
It's
really?
things like tours and gigs that give you the creative juices.
Right.
Where you get back after a gig and like you've been signing CDs and everyone's been saying that's wicked, that's great, you know, and that's what you're like. I know what I'm making music for now.
Right, okay.
I know where my audience is. When you're sitting in this room and you've got very little contact with your audience, your fans, apart from a bit of social media here and there, it's very difficult to go, what should I do? Where should I start? Who wants to hear what thing? You know, I've got no sort of nothing stirring me from an external point of view. So I found it creatively, in answer to that question, very difficult this year. However, I've been lucky because my production hat, if you will, has been firmly on because I have production day jobs, you know. So you know, I have deadlines to meet with some of the other stuff that I do, which we can talk about at some point if you want.
That's
to
the game
about
stuff,
that. But
right? It's some game stuff,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So
Cool.
the slot, the kind of slot machine stuff that I do, and the other production stuff for other people.
Right.
So being in that, you know, that's like being an employee of an employer. So like I sit quite nicely with that. I have to say, that sits nicely with me. Someone comes to me and says, I want this and I want it done by this time. All right. I know there's a deadline. I know I can't let someone down. It's similar to you know, you've got 10 songs to learn for a gig. You're not going to let that person down, are you? You're going to schedule. You're going to, you know, that's what I mean. I'm conscientious. I'm not that sort of person who just tries to fly by the seat of my pants and get the charts up on the gig and just bodge my way through it.
You know,
I err on the side of caution. You know, I would sooner sit here for hours and practice it, make sure it's right. So it's that sort of thing, the employer-employee kind of dynamic.
Yeah.
So I've been lucky this year with decent workload from a production point of view. So I've still been working, albeit not that creatively or not as creatively as I would have liked.
Right. Okay. Okay. That's cool. Yeah, it's funny what you say about being quite meticulous about preparation for stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing I really admire. You know, I'll get on a gig, you're on the gig, I count in, I know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I know all the changes will be right. I know everything will be in the right place. I know it's all going to be really, you know, really, really on it. You know, we've the smooth jazz gigs we do where, you know, you get an afternoon rehearsal. It's always a nice thing when you walk in. It's a nice thing for the artist when they walk in and they call the first tune and
Absolutely.
They count off, we play it and they go, oh, you guys checked it out. It's great, you know.
There's nothing better than that feeling, you know. Because I get more from that than if I, you know, I'm not. If I played the most burning solo, you know, when they nodded to me for my first solo on that gig, and I played the most like immaculate burning solo, obviously they're going to be like, yeah, man, that, you know, that's cool. But and that's nice. It's nice to be told that you know you've got your chops in order. But I relish so much that what you just said, that idea that these guys come in, they have got no expectations on what this band is going to be like, but they're used to playing with pickup bands where they have all sorts of problems during sound check. They have all sorts of issues. They have to cut tunes. I mean, I've been there and I've seen it, and I've been on the other side of it when I've been the artist and I've had to cull tunes because people haven't learned it properly, all that sort of stuff. But like that feeling when they get in there, they've just come off a flight from LA or something like that, and they're like, right, count it off. Let's do this first tune. And you just nail the tune, you know. You know, it might not be like all flowery and beautiful and everyone does their solos and everything, but it's you know, it's a utilitarian, perfectly executed tune. And they're like, wow, and immediately they've got your trust, you know?
And basically, you've shown the artist respect. And often the respect is reciprocal. We're going to play another clip, you know, from your all-conquering new record. Yeah, so this is a clip of Slinky Malinky.
Right.
Tune with Jeff Cashua. You did a little lockdown session vibe. So I'll play a little clip of that. Check this out, folks. You'll really enjoy this. Here we go. Yeah. The man himself is here. Oli Silk is in the house. Sounding great, Oli, man. Really cool. Say hi to a few more people. Shawnee Fitzpatrick. Great for you to drop by, mate. It's been ages. It's been too long. Let's give you a call, actually. It's been too long. Mick Crook. Tula Lynch. Oh, folks are here. Really good. Great to see everybody. Right, so what we're doing next? I know what we're doing. It's time for a silly quiz. Now, like I said at the start, right? Oli was really guarded. Too cool for school. Very kind of, hold on a second. I don't know what's going on here. It was quite funny. Here we go. Check this out. It's hysterical for me that you haven't watched any of these yet. It's complete nonsense. But this one eases you in, right? This first one is called the Impossible Choice Quiz. The idea is no hesitation. Yeah, no hesitation. And I'll throw a scenario at you. I just want to get an answer, okay?
Okay, all right.
Right.
Ready.
Keyboard players, right? Joe Sample or Patrice Rushen?
Joe Sample.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you were very assertive there. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay, if you could be in either of these two iconic jazz fusion bands, which one would it be? Steps Ahead or Azimuth?
Azimuth.
I thought you'd say that. That's why I picked it. That's good. My instincts were good.
I thought these were hard, man. Come on.
There was a trembling in the force. That was it, right. All right, okay, next one. Your house is burning down. You have one free hand. Which album do you save? Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie?
Mm-hmm.
Or What's Going On by Marvin Gaye?
Stevie.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. I like
Definitely.
your choice. This is good. Right, keyboard players again.
Okay.
Joe Zawinul or Lyle Mays?
It's getting harder now. Joe Zawinul.
Okay,
Joe
good.
Zawinul.
I thought I stuck that in because I thought that would be a bit tricky.
Yeah, man.
Stuck that one in. Good.
Yeah, that was hard, but Joe Zawinul, man, for me. Yeah.
Cool. Right, last one. You buy a new house. What do you want in the front room? Fender Rhodes or a Steinway?
Steinway.
Oh, I love the hesitation. That was good.
You're buying these things for my house, right? So yeah, definitely a Steinway.
Brilliant. Right. So there's another quiz later. Yeah. So that one eases you in. Yeah. The quiz later. There's some very funny bits. Very funny bits. Martin, thanks for checking in as well. What else we've got? I think I said hi to everyone else. I think. Yeah. Cool. So, in this next conversation, there was a rare moment for the Monday snack of actually being sensible. We had a very, really cool chat about the whole attitude to smooth jazz, which I'm pretty sure you'll find interesting. Here we go. Smooth jazz in general, right, can get a very bad press, right?
Mm-hmm.
It can be looked down upon by a lot of musicians as an art form that somehow isn't worthy. Yeah. Now,
yes.
I'm a relative newcomer to the scene. Yeah. And it's quite interesting that in the time that I've been doing the gigs, I've come across some phenomenal people. You know, I can think of Chuck Loeb, Gerald Albright, Jeff Lorber, Eric Marantor, Steve Cole, Bobby Lyle. These are serious musicians. People, you know. Do you ever feel that you have to be almost like a cheerleader for smooth jazz, or like you have to defend it, talking up its strengths, simply because it can be perceived as something that isn't as valid as other forms of jazz? Because obviously, you know, it's like anything. There's some pop music I like. There's some pop music I don't think is great. There's some more straight ahead jazz that I think is great, and other stuff that doesn't float my boat, right? And for me, smooth jazz is no different. Some of the writing's amazing. Some of the writing, it's not really my thing. So, because sometimes smooth jazz can kind of get sort of lumped into this whole thing that isn't wonderful. one of the things I really admire, and you spoke about this earlier when you were talking about being in America and the reaction of the audiences. It's a really loyal, really appreciative, really intense set of people that follow this. Essentially, they love the music. And when you play in front of an audience that loves the music, it can't help but affect you. You know, people are very appreciative. Even I feel, even as a sideman, you know, I'm playing gigs, playing for people that are coming through London. People are really appreciative of your contribution. So that's my question. Do you ever feel like, because of the bad press it can get, that you feel like you have to defend it or be a cheerleader for it?
I think the short answer is not anymore.
Right.
I think probably, yeah, I felt like that when I was coming through. Like, you know, when I was coming up, I probably came up against a little bit more flack. Nowadays, I don't know. I don't really come up against it very much. I know, I know exactly what you're saying, and it's evident to all that for some reason, I mean, I've got a few theories about it, but for some reason, it's been vilified in the musical hierarchy or musical press or whatever for one reason or another, particularly in Europe and this country. Not so much in the States, you know. That's why, again, and this kind of leads on to the second half of your question, which was, you know, actually, I think in the States, historically, they're much less likely to pigeonhole music so much. They're much less likely to tribalize genres of music that don't quite fit together. You know, smooth jazz came, you know, it came about from a radio format, really. Before the radio format existed, it was super cool. There's no doubt about it. You know, there's no one that couldn't say that that the Crusaders weren't cool and Bob James wasn't cool and Ronnie Laws wasn't cool and jazz fusion from America wasn't hip. It was super hip. Yeah. You know, even to go to the Loeb end and then be on to Chick Corea.
Exactly. Maybe. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Or the Yellow Jackets, or, you know, something like that. Something that maybe had you know, that you could say crossed back into what then became smooth jazz a little bit. But you know, when it became,
I remember when I was going up, Spyro Gyra that's huge. Yeah.
Great example, Spyro Gyra, who now are smooth jazz. They sit in the genre, but even though they're kind of legends of
Back in the day, it was fusion, man. That was hardcore.
They were jazz fusion, but they were the more tasteful size of it, you know, side of it and accessible. Anyway, I think that when smooth jazz got its radio name, which, you know, no musicians decided it was going to be called smooth jazz. It was the radio executives that decided that was going to be the format of the music. When that was decided, I mean, I wasn't there. You know, maybe we'd be better off asking someone who was there in the first place, like Dave Koz or someone,
right?
Or Peter White maybe. But as far as I know, like it was so popular that's what began its sort of vilification, was because of its popularity. You know, it overtook every other genre on radio, and I'm talking almost every other genre on radio, including pop, Latin, country, hip hop. At the time, it was one of the big players on radio, and we're talking you know, countrywide, nationwide in the States. So, you know, it was nothing to laugh about. It was proper. There was proper exposure, proper money, proper tours, proper gigs, and probably the rest of the jazz community didn't like that very much, or some of them didn't like that very much. So I think that's where the kind of the stigma began.
Right.
But anyway, coming back to present day, I don't think that I have to defend it necessarily, because I don't really, you know, I think most people respect it as a genre. It's a small genre compared to what it was. You know, it's much smaller. It's much more niche. The fans are still there, as evidenced by the fact that we go and play big festivals in Mallorca and Algarve and Italy and, you know, Dubai and etc. So the fans are still there, and they're a very giving and very committed and loving.
And they support the scene. They really support the scene.
They do, but a lot of them still they still listen to jazz, they still listen to fusion, they still listen to but they don't. They judge smooth jazz on its merits, not compare it. You know, you can't compare lots of jazz to smooth jazz. Like you can't compare lots of smooth jazz to R&B, but there's a lot of crossover there. There's an awful lot of crossover. Look at like Kenny Lattimore, Peabo Bryson, and all the 80s and 90s soul singers. They cross over into smooth jazz on a regular basis. You know, you see Kenny Lattimore as part of smooth jazz tours. He's on the cruise. You know, the amount of great like old 90s, 80s, 90s soul singers that I've. Freddie Jackson, you know, that go on the smooth jazz cruises that I do, and I get to meet these people and hang out with these people and tell them how much that I loved their music from when I was a kid. But like, so there's a lot of crossover, but you can't directly compare those genres, you know.
I remember a killer Freddie Jackson gig, Hammersmith Odeon back in the day.
Yeah, I'm sure my brother was probably there, man.
Wicked gig, absolutely amazing gig. Yeah. No, I wanted to ask that because like I'm saying, some of it is not my cup of tea, but some of it I've been fortunate to work with some phenomenal musicians in this scene. Yeah. And I would have been guilty of thinking, oh, maybe it's not for me. It's not amazing. But within that community, I've had some really, really great musical experiences working with people. You know, that getting to play with Chuck Loeb was just like a major. That guy was an absolutely incredible, otherworldly musician.
Chuck's a great example because Chuck is someone who, you know, his accolades, you know, were obvious to all. Stan Getz and Steps Ahead, and you know, like. I mean, you could say Stan Getz was the smooth jazz of the time at times, but you know, like jazz, like proper jazz, proper, you know, no one could take that away from him. And yet he had the soul that the music that he made naturally fell into our genre, but it was still very challenging at times. And that's the beauty of it. But it just had that feel, you know. I mean, you could say that it's just smooth jazz has just got that extra bit of soulfulness to it, you know, and it's not just chops, it's more than that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I wasn't aware of who Chuck was when I got the chance to gig with him when he was here a couple of times. The first time I came over, and I just went online, just Chuck Loeb, looked up, and there's this clip of him blowing over giant steps, I think it was. There's a clip in the studio, and I was just absolutely terrified. I'm thinking, this guy is an absolute monster. He was just all over the changes. I just thought, oh my gosh, this gig is going to eat me alive. But what a brilliant, similar to something we said before, earlier. I remember Julian Crampton was on bass in that gig, and I remember we played the song. He called a tune, we played it, and we finished. And he just went, it's really nice to just hear musicians play my music with that degree of care and sensitivity, you know?
Yeah.
Seems that kind of dude.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Chuck Loeb was an amazing musician. Amazing musician. Hi to a few more folks. Hi to Phil. Wonderful to see you, man. Rita, thanks for the rum cake the other day. It was amazing. Really, really amazing. To Bob, to Lynn, to Martin. I think I've covered everyone else that's been in so far. Right, now we get to the fun bit, another fun bit. I think I managed to just about disrupt Oli's cautious holding pattern Oli had going on in this next section. This is our Tour Life pop quiz. This is quite funny. So this is the Tour Life pop quiz, okay? The Tour Life pop quiz.
Right. I've got to try and remember what Tour Life was like. Hold on.
Right, okay, yeah, there you go. Right. Remember that text I sent you earlier when I had a career. Right, so question one, right? So this is an easy one. You've travelled quite a bit in the States, right? So, especially so, do you make specific shopping trips to get your family gifts? Or are you the kind of person that does the quick duty-free dash in the airport on the way back?
The latter.
Yeah? You're duty-free. Okay,
Yeah.
lovely. Right.
Definitely.
So I'm easing you in, right?
Okay.
So the next bit of the tour, we get some scenarios, some dilemmas. You've caught an early flight, right? You're sat next to Dave Koz on your way to one of his exotic cruises, right? An early flight.
Okay.
You're starving because it was a really early start and you're in the studio all night, yeah?
Okay.
You're sat next to Dave. Dave's also knackered. He drops straight off to sleep, okay? The flight attendant comes by with the sandwiches, apologising that she's only got the final 2 left on the plane. There's 1 cheese, there's 1 ham. Dave's fast asleep, right? You're starving. You kill that cheese sandwich in seconds. You're still starving. You're looking at Dave's ham sandwich on his tray table. You're looking at Dave's angelic face sleeping. Do you wake him up and ask if you can have the sandwich, or do you just quickly eat it and plead ignorance?
Oh.
Quickly.
I'd wake him up, man.
Really?
Yeah, I wouldn't eat that sandwich. No. Got to do the right thing when the owner of the cruise is taking you to their cruise.
That was the reason I picked Dave Koz. Right. Okay. Right. We're now into true bizarre mode, right? You're in the States. The night before the Grammys, you just got your first nomination. So you end up staying at this swanky hotel, okay? You get out of bed to use the loo because you're really kind of excited, but you're disorientated in the dark.
Yeah.
Use the wrong door, you end up locked out of your room in the hallway, only wearing your boxers. The internal phone by the lift isn't working. You've got to go downstairs to get a new key. Okay, right? Remember, night before the Grammys? You're going down in the lift. You figured once you hit the ground floor, you can either make a quick dash left to reception to get a key, or a quick dash right to the concierge to get a key. All right? Lift opens.
Right.
Lift opens, you're wearing your boxers. Lift opens, you poke your head out. Quincy Jones is sat by reception. Sting is stood by the concierge. Which musical icon gets to witness your humiliation? Quickly.
Quincy.
You'd go to Quincy.
I'll go to Quincy because I think Quincy's seen it all, man.
Okay. Right, okay. So, you're at a big smooth jazz awards ceremony. You just found out you won an award. One of the staff at the venue, they take you backstage because you've got to get your award, right?
Yeah.
Take you backstage, and the award is going to be jointly presented to you by Brian Culbertson and Mindy Bear.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay?
Yep.
So they're waiting in the wings already. You're walking towards them and you notice, in his excitement, Brian has bent over and inadvertently split his trousers. You can see his silvery, glittery boxer shorts, right, through the back. Mindy, on the other hand, has just jumped out the loo. She doesn't realise, that there's a bit of loo roll hanging from the back of her dress. You can only warn one of them before they go on stage on national telly, right? You can only warn one of them. Who'd you warn?
This is terrible.
Who'd you warn? Quickly. Who'd you warn?
Mindy, of course. Mindy. Yes.
You're Mindy.
Of course.
Okay.
Can't let a lady go out like that. Man. Yeah, you know. Yeah.
Lovely. Okay, right. Here's the last one. Okay, here's the last one. You arrive back in the UK from the Grammys. Yeah? You decide to surprise your youngest, the smallest Silk, by picking them up from school. Okay? So you get to the school, the smallest Silk runs up to you in the playground, got a massive beaming smile, proud beaming smile, yeah? You're thinking, what's this about? Smallest Silk's teacher, next to them, looking really starstruck, and other parents are kind of sort of hanging around, clamouring for your autograph, yeah? You're thinking, what the heck's going on? You realise the smallest Silk has convinced everyone that you wrote and produced Katy Perry's latest worldwide hit. So, do you destroy your child's street cred forever? Or do you grab a Sharpie and sign away?
Sign away, mate. Sign away, bro. Take it while it's there.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. You're a good sport. You're a good sport. You're a good sport. Brilliant. So, Oli Silk, thank you so much.
Mate.
That was very, very cool. And I'm just so pleased to see you've joined the bald-headed crew.
I know, man. This is
Brotherhood.
This is probably going to be the world exclusive on this interview. Before
you've joined the Brotherhood. Welcome,
yeah,
my friend.
man.
Welcome.
Yep. Oh, mate, it feels good. It feels liberating, man.
Really cool. So thanks for doing this, mate. Hopefully see you soon, man.
Andrew, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me, and man, take care. 2021, Viva 2021, man.
That was pretty funny. Oli was a really good sport. Thanks for that, Oli. Thanks for doing the interview. It was really, really great chatting to you. And I got to find out so much that I did not know. Saying hi to Timo, who's just tuned in as well. So, folks, that is the Monday snack for this week. Really grateful to everyone for popping by. So, as per usual, I will be here next week. But please do visit my website. It's andrewsmall.net. Okay. My last album, What Happens Now, is available in all the usual places where you get your music. There's some bits I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy on there. My social media handle is Andrew Small Drums. You'll find me here on Facebook and also on Instagram, and the whole show will be available to be rewatched for your pleasure on YouTube from later on this evening once I do a couple of tweaks and upload it. Please, please, please subscribe. It would be amazing if you do. Other than that, that's all from me. Thanks again. Have an amazing week, and I have a really cool guest again next week. So it'll be great to see you then. Take care. See ya.